the China situation is very concerning because, as I say, Russia as is not a comparable power. It's relatively economically, it's a minor power, and you need all of the powers. But China's a different story, and so we have that now. I know both American and Chinese leaders, and I think that they would say that it's very, very important to know where the red lines are and not to cross the red lines to go into that kind of a conflict. And well, as you point out, Taiwan could be one of those situations. At some point, it will find some form of resolution. But I would say still the odds are that they won't cross the line for the military, but our risks of it are great. It's like two giants wrestling with each other 6 feet from the edge of a cliff. You can say, okay, but if you could go over that edge of the cliff too easily. For the next number of years, I don't know whether that's 5 or 10 years, they're going to be more a comparable power than a dominant power. And how that period of coexistence goes will be very, very important. In other words, the avoiding that. And at the end of the day, the strongest will win out. And the most important thing is that the United States becomes the strongest. And we talked about that. In other words, how to work together and how to be productive and have education and all of those things. That will determine the biggest outcome. But you have to recognize the power of China. As you say, it's the number of people is more than 4 times our size. So if on average it had a per capita income of half of ours, then its economy would be twice the size of ours. And if it's twice the size, that means twice the size of buying power on anything you want to buy, whether that's technology or military or something. And since I started to go to China in 1984, and I've gone there repeatedly, and I love the place, and I have a lot of respect for the place and the people in various ways, and I've got to know it very well. And I love America. Let me be clear. I mean, I've lived the American dream, but I'm making the point that I've known it and I've watched it. Since I started going there in 1984, its per capita income has increased by 27 times. Its life expectancy has increased by 10 years. It's okay. So this is a very viable competitor. And where we will be 20 years from now is going to be mostly dependent on, first of all, are we going to have a war with each other? Or are we going to then be able to compete, our systems competing? And then can we compete effectively? I think that the desire to avoid a war, that's of paramount importance, then it makes it less important whether they're richer or we're richer or more powerful, because there are many people in many countries that are not the most powerful, that are living happy, productive lives in their own ways. And so I think that's the war thing is the most important thing. Otherwise we can, and then we'll be responsible for ourselves and our outcomes. So I think it's that's most important.
And their economy, their aging population, in terms of these issues as well for China as they are for the U.S.
I think it's something like 275 million people who are over, I forgot whether it's 60 or 65. And because of their one-child policy, it used to be that the young would take care of the old. But now you have a very difficult burden because you have 2 old parents who are now in that situation, and even the medical system and so on. That's a great burden. That's a great burden. And then they have a lot of issues, a lot of everything from weather issues and so on. So they have a lot of problems. We have a lot of problems. They have a large poor population and underdeveloped. Now that's both potential and problems. And so it goes back to how do we each deal with our problems very well, And that'll really be it. And that